Hi everybody and welcome back to Zenjo and another gratitude tile for us to complete and it's hashtag Gratitude Tangle Tile. So I've been overwhelmed with how many people have started following and are enjoying doing these gratitude tiles. So important for us to take time to appreciate what we actually do have. And the other day I did one which was my garden, and I've divided this into four. This is a 4.5 inch tile. It's a Zentangle apprentice tile, but you can use any piece of nice card, nice paper. You don't have to use an apprentice tile. You can use one of these, which is a small 2-inch square bijou tile, or a 2-inch piece of card. You don't even need those. You can use a standard 3.5 inch 9 centimeter Zentangle tile and just divide it. You know, you don't have to have anything that's set. Just go with the flow. The most important thing is that you're recording and writing down your gratitudes. Okay, so before we start, I just want you to take a moment to slow down, to stop. I want you just to relax your shoulders, make sure you're sitting comfortably. If you want to shut your eyes just for a moment, you can shut your eyes and just take a breath. Focus on that breath. That breath is filling you. And as you're doing that, just stop and think of what you can be grateful for. It can be absolutely anything. You can make it something that is really dear to your heart, something that's fun, something you've seen during the day. Just look around you and see what you've got, because I can assure you, just from where you are, there are probably hundreds of things that you can be grateful for. Okay, so I'm going to continue filling this tile. So you can open your eyes, and we're going to start off with a pencil, and I'm going to continue this sort of theme of a wobbly line in the middle here. I'm just going to start off with a sweep of my pencil down this way. Should we make this a little bit bigger so you can see? There you go. I'm going to sweep my pencil down this way. Okay, pop my pencil aside. I'm using a Sakura Micron 01 in black, but you know, hey, just go with whatever colour, whatever pen you want. I'm very much a Zentangle purist for black and white, but I do like a bit of colour now and again. Okay, so now, like we've done with the other tiles, you can just steadily reinforce this lovely sweeping curve of a line. Okay, and you can do the same on the other side, and it doesn't matter if you don't stick to it exactly. I'm not all about exact. Do you know, you don't really want to aim for perfection. You just set yourself up to be disappointed, because you know, perfection isn't all it's made out to be, and you'll always be seeking it because you'll never be content. So, do you know, just go with what's good enough, your best right now, and that is so good enough. Now, I've got some wide lines, I've got some skinny lines, I've got a bit wobbly today, doesn't matter. So what am I going to be grateful for today? Do you know, the other day I made a video and I said I wanted to be grateful for Maisie, my dog, and then I talked about something else and ended up writing that word. So I'm going to write Maisie because she's been a sweetheart. Yeah, maybe I'll share a photograph of her with you all. Especially now she had a bath this afternoon out in the garden. Well, it's not a bath, it's a jug and a bucket. And any of you that got dogs, and I've got to think now what I'm writing. So don't worry about the lettering. You know, just, it's the word that's important. You know, it's what you are grateful for. Over back to giving Maisie a bath because she needed one. And it's a beautiful sunny day here in the UK today. And she runs around like crazy after a bath. Like a puppy. A real sort of crazy bonkers puppy. And she's 11, which you wouldn't think so. Okay, I've actually written Maisie. Oh, okay. I'm going to pop a couple of little sort of full stops because it just is nice to fill that up there. Okay, so what tangles am I going to do today? Today I'm going to keep it really simple actually. Well, pretty simple anyway. I'm going to use the Tangle Tipple. I love Tipple. And these Gratitude Tangle tiles are not about creating tiles with multiple tangles on and getting more and more complicated. It's the process of slowing down and enjoying. So Tipple, what is Tipple? Tipple is some lovely orbs. Purposely we don't call them circles because that just sets us up for looking for this perfect circle. And you know, it doesn't matter. So when you do your orbs, I want you to snuggle them in as close as you can. This one I'm going to do, so it's going to stop on that border. And so I'm going to really snuggle it in. And don't make your orbs too small, says she, doing a tiny weeny one there. Okay, because if they go too small, it becomes too busy, and you want to have this nice flow of this pen line going round. You can vary the size of them. That makes it really nice, and they'll end up looking like lots of bubbles, really. Okay, so a tip for making your Tipple orbs a little rounder is you start them off and you look at where you want your pen to end up, which was the start of the orb. So by doing that, your brain automatically guides your hand to where you started. Just have a little go. It's the same principle. If you're a motorcycle rider, for example, now I know I'm talking about Zentangle and we're calm and all the rest of it. I did ride a motorcycle. Not for very long, but I did ride one. And one of the key things there was you don't want to look at something because that's where you'll end up. You don't want to look at the hole in the road, etc. So it works the same way. Look at something and that's where you will end up. So look at where you want that orb to end, and that is where your pen will take you. I hope that makes sense. Probably, the more I do these videos, I think, oh my gosh, you're going to end up talking to yourself more than I do already. I'll just get that one in there before any of my friends like to make a comment. You can see what I'm doing here. In those little triangular gaps, I can fill them with tiny little bubbles, tiny little orbs. Okay. And once I've done that, I can just very carefully with my pens, it's quite handy with the 01 pen because you've got a very, very fine nib. You don't need any pressure on these at all. Just let that ink fill those spaces that you haven't filled in with an orb. I've actually got my window open, so I can hear the birds outside singing. I don't know whether you can. So I thought, well, you might as well get me as I am. These aren't edited videos, they're not fancy swinging ones with music. You're getting me with my dodgy internet come techie skills. So just reaching out to you and saying, hey, let's do a gratitude tangle tile. And Miss Maisie, that I'm grateful for, her company and her cuddles. She's actually here in my office, in her bed, snoring. And it's a very gentle snore. It's actually quite restful. It's like a little soft muffle. And, how lovely is it to be a dog that you can just sort of sleep, eat, run around. You know, they say it's a dog's life, but they're actually in the moment, and that's what we need to be. We have to take time to actually be in this moment. Just gently filling, creating this tile, creating this lovely sort of bubbly tipple section. Okay, so there I've got those lovely orbs, and do try and make them a little bit bigger because they just sort of sit much more nicely. Okay, the next tangle I'm going to do is, it's a grid tangle and it's called Flukes, and these are both headquarters tangles. Okay, Zentangle headquarters. So I'm going to use the sides of this square to draw a grid. Do not draw your grid too small. I say that so often in classes, and still people draw their grids too small. When your grid goes too small, you will end up having to cram things in. Okay, so you're not going for perfection, as we said at the beginning, you're going for squarish. Okay, if you can do nice squares, great, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, now I'm going to start in a whole square because this one is actually on a little bit of a curvy bit, so I'm actually going to start in this one here. There's a couple of ways you can do flukes. I like doing it like this. Okay, so I'm just going to work in one little square, and I'm going to aura on two sides, and then I'm going to aura again and again and again. And with this one, I'm going to black this one in. Some people draw the black square first. That's absolutely fine, but I've found it's just sometimes easier to do my auras. Depends how you feel most comfortable, and literally you do that in every square exactly the same. So you can do the line from one side down, or you can do it from the bottom up, and you'll probably end up with the same number of auras. How many have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. You might do 5, you might do 6, you might do 3. And sometimes when I'm doing this, the squares will have different numbers of auras, and that's okay, because it always ends up looking okay. There we go. So when you're doing this, relax. Try and just let your mind rest. Focus as you're doing this on your gratitude, what it is and why, because that will, by repeating it to yourself, by acknowledging it, you start making those lovely positive neural pathways instead of negative ones. we can avoid that human trait of the negativity bias. And believe me, don't please think that that I haven't fallen into that trap, because I have many, many, many times, and I've had to pick myself out of that negative mind space. But the thing is that we can. It doesn't mean that something, events, whatever, isn't happening. Now just let me concentrate on this bit. 1, 2, I'll do 2 there, and I'll do 3 there. Sorry, I couldn't talk and do that at the same time, working out where I was going to fill that bit in. Life, the world, things will still be there, but how we perceive them can be different just by stopping and looking around us. And I'm going to do that one there. As you can see, none of these are perfect squares, but that gives it a little bit of life and individuality. I'm enjoying doing this little blacking out. It's also my time just to take time for me, to say, okay, I'm going to be grateful. As I said at the beginning, I'm a little bit overwhelmed by how many people are creating gratitude tangle tiles. I think it's fantastic, and just share it with other people. Let it spread, let it go, everywhere you can. Whether people are tanglers or not, it doesn't matter. Just let's get people being grateful. And there we go. I think I was in the middle of saying something then and it's gone a complete blank, but this can happen when you're tangling, because my mind is focusing on the ink, particularly when you're blacking out the lines. So I've got that one that way. Oh, I've done a line in the wrong place. There we are. Never mind, doesn't matter. We will do, and I'll go that way, and I'll go that way, and I'll go that way, and it really doesn't matter, you see, because what I'll do is, we know there's that line there, but hey, doesn't matter. It will disappear once we do a little bit of shading. So I think on nearly every gratitude tangle video I've had a little oops, a big oops, where maybe the line isn't right, or other than the wrong word. Well, it's not a wrong word, it's a different word to the one I was intending to do. And it doesn't matter. With Zentangle there are no mistakes, and that can work in so many different. I'm just going to black that out because that just sort of levels it off a little bit there. There you go. So it doesn't mean that we don't put a line in the wrong place, or we don't do something that's, oh no, we didn't mean to do that. But the mistake can be an opportunity to take it in a different direction, to have a different perspective on something. Okay, so that is flukes, all lovely and blacked out there. So you've got lovely round tipple, and you've got this more sort of structured grid of flukes. Bear in mind you've got quite a lot of ink there. So with the shading, so I'm going to go to shading with my pencil, and just with the side of my pencil I'm going to add some sort of little smiles, I call them, just gently. I'm not using the tip of my pencil because I don't want to leave a harsh line. I'm literally, if you think of your pencil as a holder of graphite particles, just popping some graphite particles down onto these orbs, and you can see I'm being a bit random with where I put the smiles, and I'm not going to bother on the very small ones, they can stay white. Then with my tortillon, and if you haven't got a tortillon, yeah, you can use a cotton bud. It's not fantastic, but it works. And you're just going to soften that graphite so that you lose that harsh pencil line. And I'm not taking it all the way around those orbs, you're just taking it around. I've done it about a third with the first laying down of the pencil, and I take it round for about 2/3. So they're all a little bit random, and what happens is they start looking more like cobblestones, or somebody said sort of, I don't know, like a galaxy, or bubbles, pebbles. And so that's very simply shading of tipple. Shading with flukes is great fun. I'm just going to turn my tile so that I can do this carefully. I'm going to add some graphite just along these blunt edges here and here. I'm going to do that on all the ones going that way, so all the bases. Okay, a little bit here, there we go. Okay, and then I'm going to add it on the other way so that they're literally on where the blunt ends of those auras meet. And yeah, that's it. Okay, now we're only going to soften it so that it just comes a little way up. Okay, there we go. Because you want this to stay white. So you just by adding the shade, what happens is these lovely little flukes shapes start overlapping, or looking like they overlap. So they look like sort of roof tiles. Okay, just to accentuate this line here, I'm going to run my pencil all the way underneath that aura quite heavily. You can see it's quite dark. With that tortillon, soften it. Just be wary of the blacked out areas because the paper surface is a little bit compromised, and then that looks like that's going underneath. And you can do the same with your tipple. And then just going to soften this. And there you go. That is another of my Gratitude Tangle tiles. So please do, if you're going to post them on Facebook or on Instagram, I'll just pop this down so you can see it again. If you put the hashtag Gratitude Tangle Tile, that means that we can all search and find them, and there's some really awesome ones going on out there. Another suggestion is that once you've done your tiles, and if you're doing a couple of these, a couple of Gratitude Tangle tiles a day, why not pop them up on a board? Why not pop them up on the wall so that you can see them? You know, so make a huge Gratitude Tangle tile image so that you can really appreciate your gratitudes. Okay, so that's me done for now, and thank you for coming along, and I'll see you next time. Bye.